I think that was a prompt to,
No problems, just advisory.
Good evening. This is the Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 meeting of the Finance Committee. We are a committee of 7 members. 6 are present. 1 sends his regrets, who is away on business travel. 4 is a quorum. I declare we have a quorum. We're open for business. There's a meeting agenda up on the screen. Our first order of business after opening the meeting is to review the meeting minutes of March 4th, which have been sent to everyone in advance of this committee meeting. And so they are open for discussion, review, approval.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Jeff wrote them and Carl just sat down, so we. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, abstentions? None, they pass. The next item is to speak to the point of certain department heads presenting budgets. We never mean any disrespect by not identifying exactly who that department head might be, because we're never exactly sure, weather permitting and other commitments aside, who that department head might be. But we're happy to welcome the Director of DPW with us this evening to present 3 budgets, actually, which will be DPW, snow and ice, which graciously is disappearing fast, and the cemetery. So, Travis, you want to come up? Those happen to be department numbers 1421, 1422, and 1491. So, Travis, it's all yours.
Good evening, Travis Tebow, Director for the Paxton DPW. I'd like to start by saying the 3 budgets mentioned were all kept within budget guidance, as was requested of us. Even though that's a difficult task for us to do, it did not get us back the staff member that we had to cut last year due to budget cuts. So we are still short that 1 staff member, in keeping with this 2.5%, as was requested of us. We have up there first. I can't see.
I have your DPW.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to go line by line. If you folks have looked at this, how would you like me to proceed, sir?
Well, if you don't mind, I have a question right off the bat with what you said. There is a posting of a position on the website. Is that
Yeah.
2 positions that you're down, one that's not budgeted for and one that's not filled? Or
Correct.
So you're 2 down?
2 down. Right now, we're 2 down and have been for quite some time.
Yeah. And what are the prospects of filling the one that's been posted and advertised and made available to the public?
Yeah, so we did fill the position. The gentleman that we offered the position to took it, held the position for 5 days and resigned because it was too much work. We see a lot of that in this field, unfortunately. It takes a certain kind of person to be able to go out and work 42 hours without sleep, without stopping. Not everybody can do that. So unfortunately, it's extremely difficult to find help.
Mm-hmm. So is salary an issue, or is it just the workload?
To be honest with you, I couldn't tell you. From a DPW perspective, a highway perspective, our salaries are average or above average for surrounding towns to try to keep staff. It's our facilities really hurt us when it comes to staff. people are willing to go to Holden for $1.50 less an hour than what we can pay them because they get a nice facility, they get newer equipment. I can't compete with that. So, unfortunately, we do the best we can with what we have, and that's what we do. So, it's tough. The hours are tough. If you're going to ask me if the guy should be getting paid more money, I'm going to always tell you, yeah. That our staff work their tail off day in and day out, whether people see it or not. The hours they put in, the sacrifices they make is above and beyond what anybody should ever have to endure, but they do it, and they do it willingly.
So don't disagree with any of that, Travis. Two more, budget finance questions. The position that's open, what's the amount that's in the budget, roughly? 60, 70, 50?
I believe it's 60. I believe it is 62,500.
Okay, so the one that's not budgeted.
I could be misspeaking on that. I don't
but
have.
You gave, there's a good enough range,
It's right around 60,000 a year.
There's nothing in the budget for it, it's a zero.
The one that he's trying to fill right now is this one.
The light equipment operator one, that's the position that we did not budget for.
Okay, so the other one's the temporary mechanic?
Nope, that shouldn't even be a line item up there.
That was for last year, that's why it's showing. It's just the heavy equipment operator one, that's the one where we had the gentleman
Okay.
resign after 5 days, so we're still trying to fill it.
So I'm going to circle back because I kind of lost where the question was. There is a vacant position that's budgeted.
And there's a vacant position that's not.
Roughly 62.5.
Yes, sir.
What would you have put in for the position that's not budgeted if you had best-case scenario? Is that also 62.5?
No, it would be less than that.
Less than that.
So that would have been somewheres around 45 to 50. Again, I don't have those figures in front of me right now, but best guess, you're around 45 or 50.
I'm just trying to determine whether it's 30 or 120. So
Yep.
some ballpark range gives us something to work with. Okay. Excuse me, Travis, go ahead.
Any other questions?
I was going to say, does that conclude your remarks?
Absolutely. So I'll go line, section by section. Director's salary, it's a 2.5% increase from what was budgeted for last year. Compensation, the increases are contractual that are there in accordance with the union. The other items are flatlined with the exception of stipends, which is also contractual. Because we had to put out I don't believe we had finished the union negotiations when budgets were due last year. That's why there was no stipend, even though we had to cover that this year. Moving down, 5104, again, that is 2.5%. It's just a COLA raise. Purchase services, I had to make cuts in order to meet the compensation requirements, so we reduced the garage line item by $5,000. That's what we make repairs on the building with. That's also what we use for paying bills for the building, such as electricity, water, other items that we need for the facility and for our staff at that facility. Equipment maintenance, we dropped that from 147 and some change down to just shy of 130. Not that we can afford to do that, but I had to make these alterations somewheres. And frankly, that's the largest item that we have in the budget besides compensation, so I had to make that cut. Line?
Can I speak to that point?
Sure.
Again, you had guidance, 2.5%, you adhered to it. kudos, compliments all the way around the board. What we're also trying to do is be smart with this year's budget, and if you have equipment and vehicles which help is on the way, but help is not in the barn as we speak.
Yep.
Is that advisable to reduce that particular line item while you still have the equipment that you do have, which is oftentimes out of service and need a repair? And so it's one of those, if we know we're going to spend it, should we budget for it?
I agree with you 100%. I know we're going to spend it. No, I don't think it's advisable, but I was asked to, and 2.5% increase, I had to make do with what I was asked to do. To follow that guidance, I had to make this cut at this location. The only other spot I could have done that would have been somewhat, maybe to make up some of that difference, would have been at line painting. Last year, we budgeted $20,000 for line painting. For FY27, I'm budgeting $30,000 for line painting. When I called to try to get some requests for quotes, we're going to be over 30,000, or we'll be just right around 30,000 to paint the lines in this town on the roadways. We haven't painted the lines in town in 3 years because of budget cuts. So to me, it's becoming a safety issue because the lines aren't being painted. You drive down Marshall Street, for example, you can't see the painted, the yellow center lines or the fog lines on the road. West Street, they're getting difficult to see, and during the wintertime, you can't see those lines sometimes after a snowstorm. I think it's a safety issue. That's why I think we had to increase that line item from 20,000 to 30,000 to be able to paint the lines throughout town because of the duration of time it's been. But to your point, no, I don't think we should be cutting the maintenance line item. I mean, the used truck we purchased last year for $60,000, I think we've had to put 15 into it this year already. So, it's of no fault of anybody's, but this is what happens. Pieces of equipment fail. We purchased 20-year-old equipment. They fail on us. We have issues. We got to take them out of service. We got to make repairs. And it's not always stuff that you can see by going to look at the truck. So unfortunately, that's what we got to do. Police details, I dropped it from $5,000 down to $1,300. Again, I had to make some cuts somewheres. If we're having to work on the roads where we can, we're going to close the road rather than get an officer there to do the work, because that's what we have to do to make whatever emergency repairs we need to make. Again, it's not my choice. I don't think that that's the right thing to do. I'd rather have a detail officer on site so that I'm protecting my staff. The next best option for protecting my staff is closing the roads. So where we can, that's what we're going to do. Where we can't, we'll get a detail officer. Safety training, I reduced it from 9,000 down to 2,000. Again, I had to do this in order to make up some of the differences. We're doing a significant amount of training with our staff this year. Well, I feel comfortable making that reduction in that line for next year. Chances are it's going to go back up the following year. Guardrails, I'm eliminating it altogether from 10,000 down to zero. $10,000 doesn't do much for us in the way of making repairs to guardrails. I've said it multiple times over the last couple of years that there are several guardrail sections on Marshall Street that should be replaced. The money's not there, so I can't justify budgeting $10,000 for something that I'm not going to spend it on, because $10,000 isn't going to get me anything for guardrails. Licenses, I reduced it by $1,000. I was able to do that because this year and what I see coming up next year for license renewals, it will be within that limit. So I was able to make that reduction there. So for purchase services, we're seeing 14.25% reduction for purchase services. Supplies is flatlined, with the exception of, well, in total is flatlined. We did make some alterations. Asphalt, I added $3,000 there. It's not much, but we have so much patching that needs to get done right now in this town. I had to put a dollar figure in there. Coal patch, I left it the same. Gasoline, I had to increase due to our department utilizing a couple of gasoline vehicles this year on top of the equipment that we use for, that takes gas already. Safety supplies, I reduced it by $1,000. I had to cut somewheres, so unfortunately.
Travis, on gasoline, is it because it's showing a decrease there? Is the number wrong, or I just want to make sure we have it reflected?
It should be at 1,500.
Increase.
It should go from 6 to 15,000.
I'm sorry? No, for some reason what you have isn't what I have. So that shouldn't say drainage pipe catch basins, that should say gasoline. I think those, I don't know how they got mixed up.
And then the
The
next one
drainage
is
pipe catch
safety
basins
supplies.
was eliminated.
And then the bottom is rental. So 6,000.
Plus,
So,
I removed the rental equipment from this.
Okay, and then the bottom one is
Light equipment,
light equipment. Thank you.
I reduced it from 4,000 down to 1,000.
so to keep in mind, gasoline, which you're right, you probably, if you got gas in the last week or so, you might want to have zero. But diesel, which is the bulk of what your fuel is in another cost center.
Yeah, I believe it comes out of central purchasing.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Because it's not strictly DPW, the fire department and EMS also utilize that service. That's what I got for you. So that's a 2.5% increase for the DPW budget, and as you can see, it's more than 2.5% increase to compensation, which made for reductions elsewhere in the budget.
So Travis, I know I'd disappoint you if I didn't ask this. Guardrails
Sure,
and line painting,
sure.
are those candidates for Chapter 90 funds?
From my understanding, the line painting can only be done if it's set in with a total road project. So if we repaved a mile of road, we could add in line painting when we repave that road. From the best of my understanding, when I reached out to our representative from MassDOT, they told me we could not just use Chapter 90 for line painting. As far as guardrails, frankly, I haven't looked into it. It might be an option. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah, because going from 10,000 to zero is one thing, but having casualty or an accident or something of that nature, which could have been prevented by way of guardrails, is something else.
Sure.
So,
I will certainly look into it.
Carl?
And I just wanted to just follow up with the compensation. Just the 13% increase, is there any one position that's driving, or any of the positions driving that, or is that kind of like 13% across the board for each position?
To be honest with you, I didn't figure that out prior to this meeting. I know we're paying our foreman more than we were paying previous foremans at this time. And frankly, I'm thankful that we are, because he's doing a fantastic job with what we have. So that is certainly a portion of that. The remainder of that, again, is contractual. One of our staff members actually, 2 of our staff members out of the other 4 also did get step increases this past year for gaining licensures or for performance review. We have one individual that's been with the town for 15 years, and he's here day in and day out every single time he's called. He had an exceptionally fantastic year this past year, and frankly, we gave him a step increase. Besides that, the other individual received his, that was back in July 1st. For FY '27, I'm not budgeting currently to give anybody step increases as much as I would like to. We just can't afford to. We do have a line item for step increases in here in case individuals do choose to gain licensures in order to run additional equipment above and beyond what they can currently run. That's also something that was put into the union contract. So it's there.
Well, and I get, was the union contract at 2.5% COLA?
Yes. Can I interject? I'm sorry. I'm like jumping on my seat. Tiffany Sidholm, DPW. I don't have a mic. I'm sorry. Stipends. Stipends is what's driving the 13%. Not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry about that.
So yeah, it's stipends that are driving the 13%, not.
That was an additional $20,800 that we didn't have in last year's budget. Again, contractual obligation. Thank you, Tiffany.
Did we, sorry, just to follow, so did we not pay any stipends the current year we're in?
No.
Or did we not budget for it and then we had to try and move funds
Yeah, we
from
did
it?
not budget for it, and we had to try to move the funds, because I believe the contract negotiations wasn't finalized until after the budgets were due.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, it's kind of a non-financial, more of a statement than a question. I just want to thank you, Travis, for a good winter. This has been, I think, the coldest winter we've had in 25, 26 years, and maybe the snowiest in 10 or 12. And I think, you know, obviously, we all know this, working with some old equipment. I've seen different pieces of equipment out this winter that I haven't seen in a while. So I think it's a credit to you and the staff for working through that. It's got to be well into the 30s for the amount of events that we've had that have required road treatment, plowing, sodium chloride, whatever. So it's been a long winter, and I just credit you for that in the team. So it's a job well done.
Thank you.
And
And just to give you an exact figure, we've been out 56 days this winter.
There you go.
That, on many of those days are multiple times we're out treating roads or plowing, or, not that there was 56 events, but we've had to go out and take care of the roads for 56 days out of the last 2.5 months, 3 months.
It's a lot. Job well done.
So,
Any further questions on DPW? How about snow and ice?
snow and ice.
Count 1422.
Yep, so we increased the total amount by $1,000, as has been past practice. We had to increase the line item for overtime. In order to do that, we decreased the line item for purchase services. We also decreased the line item for supplies in order to put $20,000 into a line item for parts and equipment. Again, unfortunately, with the equipment that we have, there's a lot of snow and ice repairs that are made pretty much every single snowstorm there is. Every time we go out with trucks, something comes back broken, if not multiple pieces of equipment, whether it's a burst line, hydraulic line, or a total failure of a hydraulic system. It's every single storm. Our staff do the best they can to try to keep things up and running, but I can almost guarantee that every single storm this winter that we had trucks out plowing, my mechanic was back at the shop fixing something for hours rather than being out maintaining roads. So We get a lot of complaint calls this time of year, especially due to the conditions of the roads, because the frost is moving the road so much. Well, you're worried about it damaging your vehicles, as am I. Our vehicles weigh 60 or 70,000 pounds. So think of the abuse that's taken when it's traveling down these roads trying to maintain them. Again, our mechanic is constantly in the garage during a snow event. We get him out plowing, and the second something breaks, he's back in there trying to fix something or rig something together, or whatever we can do to get the piece of equipment back out so that we can keep roads running. I hate to say it, but I'm glad that we got a farm boy that's our mechanic, because he's used to fixing old junks, and that's what he's doing here. Not that all of our equipment is junk. I don't want to take that away from capital, because that's not the case. We do have a couple of decent pieces of equipment, but we also have a lot of aged equipment that's, frankly, it's a nightmare to maintain, and the abuse that these machines take out in the wintertime is unreal. As far as I'm concerned, we're already deficit spending this year by a significant amount for our snow and ice budget. I will tell you, as I've told you in years past, this is not enough money for snow and ice operations. I think if you added 50,000 onto this budget, you'd probably be right around where you need to be.
So you raise an interesting point, Travis. This is the one account that they're allowed to go over budget. Number one, but how is it subsidized and paid for when we do go over budget? Can you speak to those 2 points, somebody?
That's above my pay grade. I'm going to leave that to the town administrator.
So that's something that we would have to then either bring it over to the next year and pay out of free cash, or we would have to take care of at the end of this year so that we go in with a clean slate.
The reason I ask is I've never recalled a end-of-year transfer. I've never recalled a request of the reserve fund. I've never recalled any of free cash being used for this. So how is it being subsidized?
I think the last time it happened was in 2018 when
Okay.
Mr. Putnam was the superintendent, 2017, 18, 19, somewhere around that time frame, and I don't recall how it was paid for.
So you raise a good point. I don't want people to think we're being reckless and under-budgeting this by
No.
$50,000. That's not the takeaway I would want anybody to take away with. So, okay. Julie, you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. So I think typically we're looking at the end of the year to try to make end-of-year transfers in order to try to, reconcile that budget. And I agree with you with spend. We've had some, I don't want to use the word quiet, but less costly winters lately, and so we haven't deficit spent that. One thing I do want to mention about this budget, before I forget and before even the discussion perhaps comes up, is that you can only deficit spend out of this budget if you haven't cut it. So just a thought process there.
And if we brought over the deficit spend, that affects our tax levy limit, so.
Good clarification.
And again, so me looking at this, and looking at what you've done in FY '26, good move putting up to the 20,000 from the 8,000 on snow blades. It gets you at least close to what you spent this year, but it seems to me the overtime is still way low, right?
I agree with you 100%.
That's just for you to keep the.
I'm open to suggestions. Yeah, you folks, you have any other ideas on how I can shuffle this money around to make it work a little better?
No. I didn't mean it as shuffling it around. I mean, maybe it should be higher. Looking at so far this year, your overtime was 86,000.
Yep.
And next year, and that was from a budget of 55. This year, we're going to 60.
And we got another
Yeah.
month possible of winter
Yep.
left, or winter operations. I shouldn't say winter, but we get nights that drop below freezing
Tomorrow.
well into mid-April
Yeah.
sometimes. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have another 3 or 4 weeks worth of winter. And just in the next week's forecast, we have 4 or 5 nights worth of rain and then freezing temps at night. So we're going to be out spending more money in overtime, more money on salt.
Yep.
I don't know what else to tell you, so.
I appreciate it.
Any further questions on snow and ice? Carl?
For the salt sand materials, is that fairly evenly split between like salted sand, or is like one of those a lot more expensive than the other? Like,
Well, for the most part, we don't typically use sand. We're the majority salt usage only. The event when we do get sand, where we're using sand, is typically when we're having major icing happening. So just recently, we had where it rained, snowed, back to rain. That creates layers of ice that build up and impact the roads. So in that event, in that situation, a lot of times we'll mix it 50-50 salt sand mix just to put some traction down on top of trying to melt the ice. Because, you know, again, with especially now with 5 members on the highway department, we can't keep up with it. So, I mean, it takes 2.5, 3 hours for us to get down to treat the entire town. If we're plowing, we're 2.5, 3 hours a piece to plow a route, to make one pass around the route. You know, it's another thing we're getting a lot of complaints about, because there's people are calling and saying, well, we get 4 inches of snow on our road. We're doing what we can to get there. So between having broken down equipment and, you know, short-staffed, if I pull a staff member out because we lose a truck or something else like that, and the mechanic's got to go back and he's dealing with that, it's even longer. So.
Travis, I think the sand is also used a lot for the resident trailer
Yes.
as well, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so especially this year, because of where we're into the point where we're deficit spending, sand's a lot less expensive. Thank you, Tiffany. Sand's a lot less expensive than the salt is. So we're trying to put more sand out than salt to give to residents, so that at least they have something to put on the roadway, on their driveways. You know, unfortunately, from a financial perspective, yes, the salt's more expensive upfront cost. On the back end, sand, there's a lot of maintenance, there's a lot of disposal fees that go along with getting rid of that, because it's considered hazardous waste in the spring when we go around sweeping. There's a lot on both sides. So majority, we try to use salt. When we have to, we add sand into it. Sorry if that was a long-winded answer.
no, that's
Thank you for keeping that bin full, by the way, with the pickle mix.
yeah, no, I mean,
All
there's,
winter, there was, you know, you guys do a good job with that.
Pickle mix.
How about cemetery department 1491?
Okay, so this is a 2.5% increase. Purchase services, that's $300 for equipment maintenance. That goes to purchasing blades for the lawn mowers, strings for the string trimmers, maintenance kits for the mowers. Water usage, $225. That's for the purchase of water at the Moreland Cemetery for the family members of residents of the cemetery to be able to water flowers. Subcontractors, $1,500. That is for the application of fertilization at the cemetery. Stone repairs, $1,200. That will basically cover the cost of 2 stone repairs, which we're trying to, I shouldn't say we, the Cemetery Commission and the department is trying to keep up with any stones that do get broken in the center cemetery. The Cemetery Commission put out a project over the last couple of years, and they did a great job, and were able to get, I forget the number, it was well over 50 stones restored that were snapped in half and laying on the ground. Some of them were buried even. So they were able to hire a contractor to come in and take care of that. So we don't want to let that go to waste, hence that line item, so that if we do have one that breaks, we have the ability to get that contractor back out here and hopefully be able to take care of 1 or 2 of them if necessary. Supplies, gasoline, $2,000. Lime fertilizer and seed, that's us purchasing the lime fertilizer and seed. And we have a contractor that comes in and puts down the applications. Parts and supplies for whatever we need it for, above and beyond. Just maintenance kits for the mowers. You know, if we need extra blades, if we need other items for the cemetery. String trimmers, as I'm sure you all are all aware, they don't last forever. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And that's the budget.
Travis, can any of this, particularly the stone repair, can any of this be taken out of any of the cemetery special revenue funds?
Sale of cemetery lots. Sale of cemetery lots in the fund.
I don't believe the sale of cemetery lots comes back to the cemetery. It goes into the general fund, correct?
And
I'm not
part of
sure of
it's, the sale of cemetery lots, sorry. Thank you. The sale of cemetery lots is 50/50, so 50% goes into the general fund and then 50% goes into the other fund that earns interest. We can spend from the interest during the year, but anything else outside of that needs to go to town meeting for a vote.
That's
So
the perpetual care.
perpetual care expendable, yep, that's what we can spend from at the cemetery's discretion, their commission.
Okay, so a topic for another day. I've never seen it come into the general fund.
That was always my understanding. So I don't deal with the paychecks coming in. I don't deal with the purchasing. We accept the checks. We turn the information over. So that's, I would check with somebody, maybe the treasurer.
I have that as a ticket.
Yeah,
You
it
look into
definitely
that?
does, yeah.
I
It's-
I don't disagree with it, I just don't recall that being the case. And maybe I'm trying to envision the ambulance receipts funds make a contribution each year similar to what I thought was just described right now, but I don't see that. There's $120,000, so if 60,000 came over to the general fund, that's helpful.
So we are making transfers, so I'll just make sure that that is the case, that we're making it
Yeah,
from like.
maybe at the next meeting, just exactly how
Yeah.
it works.
Okay.
So, don't doubt that it does work, don't doubt that it's happening, but I need to visualize how it is occurring. Any questions on cemetery? No. Any further questions of Travis overall?
No.
Travis, thank you. I'm sure we all echo what Jeff said as well. Tough year, good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis. Good job.
Thank you, Travis.
So, everyone was sent email number 4, which had a listing of the accounts that I thought we would revisit so that everybody could do their own preparation to the extent that they wanted to. And do you want to go down this list, Robert?
Sure.
Take them one at a time. Some are quick, some might not so much.
Is first one MIS?
This first one's account 1155, which was MIS, which I think was a better description of miscellaneous.
Yes, so we have the mice, keyboards, cables, etc. That is what the miscellaneous description was. I was able to talk with Suze IT, who manages this for us, and after an audit of our current equipment, we are going to reduce the budget of $6,800 down to $3,400 for the upgrade and replace computers, town devices. And then we're also going to decrease the upgrade/replace monitors to $1,500. So I put it over here. I didn't want to make the changes prior to talking to the committee about it.
So,
115, 444 is what I got now.
So the 119,844
Yeah,
115,444.
is going to be 115.
That make sense to you?
yeah.
Okay?
Yep, so unfortunately, we were talking about here, trying to get that Acronis number down, but unfortunately, we are not able to reduce that amount. And as I said last time, we are still paying for that. It's not, that substantial increase from last year, it just wasn't accounted for. And then I also pushed back on Office 365, and we weren't able to reduce that at all either. So I was trying my best to reduce anywhere possible. Unfortunately, the only place that we could cut was with the audit of our current equipment and just not replacing as many as we originally anticipated.
So 115.
115,444.
I can make that
Oh,
change now if you're okay
So
with.
why don't we do that so we can make a motion? So is there a motion to approve this budget at the new number?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Charter review. I think we had two committees that were taken entirely from the budget a year ago. One was EDC, which we addressed last evening. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we were waiting for the CRC committee to meet
They met
last
on
night.
Monday.
Have you had any discussion, and do you have any feedback and update as to what they might like to propose?
So we don't have a formal proposal for that amount, but I definitely know that they would like some funds to get the message out because they are doing a lot of great work and they're not taking it lightly. So I know that they want some funds to really publicize what they're doing, but
So
we
there
don't
was
have a specific
an
amount.
event that EDC was involved and select board,
Correct.
a lot of people were involved, and if I didn't, I thought there was some private personal funds that were contributed to make that go, and
There
Tony
were.
spoke to the point that even EDC does that. That's all terrific, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's how we should prepare a
Operate.
budget.
Correct.
To have committee members need to be looked to subsidize it. So, did they dollarize their interest in having some money?
No, we do not have a dollar amount. I mean, gave 250 to EDC, CRC. Would you classify that they need more or less than that?
Well, I think a year ago, their offer was, their
It was like-
request was 5,000, that cut down to 2,000, that cut down to zero.
Correct.
So I think they're probably around 1,500, 2,000.
Yeah, they would be a lot more substantial than,
Then
because
EDC.
ours is just like a small targeted mailing for a specific,
Yeah.
issue.
I don't
that's
think
what's running.
250 would,
And we're not attributing like town council review in there. We're attributing that in the town council like we talked about last
Right.
week. Okay.
but it could be some way of them getting their draft of their work out while it is going through all the other processes, including town council.
Yeah.
But no, it would not be town council fee, which is another good reason why I think we increased the legal budget last time we were here.
Correct.
So I hate to propose a number, but I also hate to have it lingering for another, because they're not going to meet for 2 more weeks, and we might be at closure, sooner than that. So I would entertain a number if somebody wants to advance one.
Yeah, I'd go with 2,000. Make a motion for 2,000 for the Charter Review Committee, 1190.
Second.
Proposal's been made and second at 2,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. So, someone keeping score of the number we're going here. Town insurance, 1193. I think the question was, Robert, how good do you feel about this number in terms of quotes and policies and premiums and estimates and wish lists? So we were going to defer to you to get
Yep.
as comfortable with this number as you possibly could
We're comfortable with it.
at
241.
241,073.
Yep.
Okay. This is not snow and ice, by the way. It's
Correct. I know we can't deficit spend from there. Yes.
Move to approve.
move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Motion carries. Waste collection, 1443. I think we were waiting to see what local revenues showed to get some comfort with that particular number.
We're also waiting because we're going to have a new contract as well.
So is the desire to hold that? What's the time PTA of the contract negotiation?
We have a meeting upcoming. Let me tell you when. I believe it's on the 17th. So that's next Tuesday. So it should be before next week.
Okay, good.
Hold.
So I think we should hold it again. But while we're holding it, and I just want to stay with the waste collection budget.
Sorry, I just didn't want to lose
No,
sight of
that's
the
fine.
2 grand, so I want to
Take care of your business. The local revenue number, which we're going to show maybe a little bit later on, is 447, 359. And I was always of the opinion that that was a smash. But we have more expense than we do revenue. So is the revenue number too low?
I can tell you for sure, Mark, that based on what we're starting to see for the contract, the trash fee is going to have to go up in order to fund the contract that we're going to be looking at. So I do think that we're going to need to increase that and make sure that the revenue pans out.
Right, so great service, great company, not really our place to be shilling for them, but it's for the select board. But if the rate goes up, then the revenue is going to go up. Is that going to be passed on to the residents? The increased rate? In other words, is the trash collection going to go from whatever it is by $2 more?
Yes.
I'm just saying, right now, the revenue and an expense is not a lock. And I have always been of the impression that it is.
It should be. It should be. We've run into some problems over the past couple of years where, especially with recycling, because China stopped accepting recyclables, and it used to be a benefit gained from recycling where there was actually money fed back into the system from it. That's no longer the case. They're actually having to pay to dispose of the recycling, and they've started charging back to us. There's also a diesel fuel component where there is a clause in the contract that allows them to charge more if diesel fuel exceeds a certain value. So some of that did end up coming back, where we're at the end of a contract period. If you don't budget enough initially, by the time you get to the end of that contract with built-in increases, you run the risk of that not matching. So we're trying to take a really close look at that for this year with the new contract that's coming up to make sure that we don't end up in a situation where we're lopsided. And if we're going to be lopsided one way, then we would prefer it to be to the good and not to the bad.
So let's hold this, and let's hold going to local revenues for 10 more minutes. But if everybody could remember that the waste collection budget is 458, so that when we get to local revenues and I show that it's 447, I think that there's an $11,000 income pickup, is my point. And I can See, everybody's looking at me like I got two heads.
No, I get it.
You following?
Yeah, follow, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll be back in 10 minutes. All right, so I don't think we need a motion, but we're going to hold.
Okay.
Employee benefits, 1910. Same thing, Robert, we were trying to make sure that you were comfortable.
Yep, so this one, we are still having insurance advisory committee meetings, but it will only go down if anything. But I don't anticipate large decreases at all. So I am comfortable with this budget.
So when's the ETA of that insurance advisory committee meeting?
So we had one today, and it was recommended that we see what some policy changes will do to our premium amount. So we are waiting on our rep to get back to us on that.
Do
So
they meet once a month, or would they
it's
be
on an
meeting
as-needed basis.
as needed? So is it possible for them to meet within the next 2 weeks to get us that number?
That would definitely be ideal, but we're at the mercy of our rep, who has to go to actuaries to get the updated amounts for us.
I'm telling him we'll change insurance carriers if he doesn't get back to us in 2 weeks. So I would recommend we hold that. Keep,
Just to get absolute,
yeah, I'd rather get a good number. I mean, maybe it's $1,100, maybe it's, $2,300. I think either one would be important as we get closer.
okay, instead of doing it now and then adjusting later.
Defer to the committee, though, if you want to approve this, or just sit tight.
I think we can hold
Okay.
this.
Assessors, 1141, we're seeing this now for the first time. Which is being seen for the first time for no particular reason, it's just how we selected the others to go through. So. Can you just scroll down to the bottom for 1 second, Robert?
Yep,
Okay. So there's a lot here.
there is.
And you're the former assessor, so you're on the hot seat.
Okay.
Are you prepared to kind of walk us through this and then?
Yep.
Then let the Q and A follow?
Yeah, sure.
You want to take a presentation? Take a presentation?
Sure. So in here, did implement the committee salaries back in. They're required to maintain certifications, so that is why those were brought back in.
That's for the,
Board of Assessors,
so they're required to
maintain certification
certification.
through
They have to take
DLS.
classes for that?
They have to take classes for that. The administrative
So
assessor,
hold on, they have to
Sorry.
take classes for that.
correct.
So by deduction, this salary is being paid to them for them to take
For-
for them to pay for the classes themselves?
So the classes are not, they do not have a fee, but it's something that just needs to be done. So,
So it's,
$1,800 a piece, that's a pretty penny for something without a fee. Again,
it's paying them, it's not paying for a service. So it's not paying for DLS exam, it's just paying the Board of Assessors.
okay, so it could be argued that the finance committee all had to take an accounting course and a budget course, and we didn't get a stipend.
I understand.
I mean, if you want to look at it that way, I don't disagree that they need it, but every committee, planning, ZBA,
I understand.
conservation,
And everyone went without last year. So
exactly.
I totally understand.
Okay. So it's, and we want them to be certified, we want them to take those tests, but we also want all the other committees who are volunteering their time to come to the table without stipend and without salary.
Yep.
So we'll hold that, but I'm just struggling a little bit with it.
Okay. So the assessor's salary is at the 37,560. So that went down with a reduction in hours. So that is something that we're comfortable with there.
So the present position is
Correct.
27 hours.
So we do not have Diane working 27 hours.
It's 20, right?
Yeah, so we got reduced
Went to
down.
20. So that 27 hours was for
Was
2026.
for this one, yeah, for that 46 number.
Okay, so it's 20 hours now. Yep, okay. Data processing.
Yep. So
There's a
that-
pretty nice legend in terms of, you can see in the column where it's
So for C.
A through I or J.
Yeah, so data collection services needed this, includes mileage fee. So this is due to the fact that we need to do a lot of cyclical inspections as we're approaching a reval year. It is crucial, it's absolutely necessary that that needs to happen. So that's why we need to have that $1,000 to account for that.
The other expense section needs a little bit of help, Robert.
Which one?
Well, actually, all of them.
Okay.
Because, one went down by 5,000, one went up by 7,000. Can you walk us
For
through
the
that?
other expenses. So
Yeah.
that is a different appropriation for RRC. So we have, so that amount was the 9,000 and change. So we're able to put that back over here. So we have reevaluation of personal property, consider reducing this annual cost in the remaining 4 years. So that's why it's so high, because of the reval. Unfortunately, that's why you're going to see all these increased costs. And that is why on the warrant that's going to be at town meeting, there will be articles in there asking for a stabilization fund for exactly this, for a reval, so that we're putting away approximately $7,000 a year instead of just taking a hit in the reval year. So unfortunately, that's what we're up against now, because we didn't have such fund established previously. So that's why we have that 12,400, and we have the increase for RRC there.
So, Robert, I need a little clarification. The 12,004,
Yep.
the footnote down below under J says, the end of it, may consider a reval debt stabilization, but it also says it could be paid over 2 fiscal years.
So
Is the 12,4
it's
half of
Correct.
24,8, or could
Correct.
we cut the 12,4 to be 6,200?
No, it's 24.8. So we're eating that
So,
12 this year.
okay, so this is spreading it out over 2 years?
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing.
It's very disappointing.
The overall budget is up 13.9%.
Unfortunately, because of that reval year. So that's what we're hoping to eliminate by having that stabilization fund.
And when would that take place? Is that a warrant article that's going before the voters in this May?
Correct.
So the vote of approval on that warrant article is never certain, but if it were to pass, what would that do to the 12,004 here? Pull it out?
No, it would be going towards the next time.
Okay,
So 5 years
it's
from
not
now.
concurrent and it's not retroactive, it's prospective.
So that we set ourselves up for success in the future.
Well, it's also disappointing. But at least we're clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Any further questions? Carl?
Just in regards to, I mean, not to belabor the committee salary, but the part about, like, how much does the testing cost? Like, is the test free to take, or do they have to pay to take the test?
No, so it's just it's on DLS, and that is, it's free exam, so
Okay.
we're not paying a price for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big number that's $1,800 a piece.
Yeah.
At 20 hours, that's 90, I mean, say it's $20 an hour, it's 90 hours. That to me, I mean, I know other committees and I know other boards nobody's got stipends last year, right? The select board did.
Select board. Yeah.
Everyone cut them.
Everybody cut them, right?
So that was another thing you'll see in the Board of Registrars. So that was cut last year, and we have
One's coming back, right?
one's coming back.
Right. I would propose that we hold the assessors. If this was the only one being held, I'd say let's do what we want to do this evening, but I'd like to see what the end number might be in terms of
Before
the overall
approving that.
surplus or deficit before we decide on this. Because I'm not at a position personally that I could vote on it, because I need to digest the committee salary number a little bit. So I'm proposing that we hold, unless somebody wants to make a motion.
I mean, this is also a unique budget too, right? Because it's not under my purview. So this is something that the Board of Assessors put together. I'm just like championing it and getting behind it and presenting it tonight. So I'm sorry that I don't have more color to it.
So I don't think we need to have a motion to hold, but I want to make sure that's the consensus, is that, so we're going to hold that.
Would hold.
Town clerk, 1161.
So Lori did a great job of supplying a narrative for all of her sections. As everyone knows, she's very thorough, takes her job very seriously, and I couldn't think of a better town clerk out there. So she put a lot of thought and effort into this, and if you know her, she's not going to waste a penny. So on this, you'll see that it went up for clerk record keeping stipend. This is something that with like early voting, we can actually get reimbursed back to us. So that's something that it has to be budgeted because it has to go out, but then we have the possibility of getting that back in years past that has occurred.
So who was that stipend paid to, the clerk and the assistant town clerk?
Yes, anyone that's helping during early voting. So
Okay.
the assistant town clerk would just have to be working above like his normal hours and just dedicated for that one task so that we could get it reimbursed.
So that 3140 that's budgeted could be 2 people or 10 people?
It's generally just going to be Lori. Yeah,
The clerk or the assistant clerk has to.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's only going to be them.
So that was my point. It's really split between the two of them.
That's not the.
Yeah, it's not everyone.
Yeah, okay. The one argument is that the salaries went up, and the overall budget went up about 8%. That said, we can't argue with what you advanced in terms of the quality of the staffing there and the need for it.
Also, we're having state and federal
Right.
elections. this
And the risk of having a one-person department that if that one person is out, some departments can limp by for a while, but a town clerk's business doesn't stop.
No,
So,
exactly.
and I just offended every one-person department out there
Well,
saying, this doesn't stop either, so I want to,
Everyone
that
is
remark
crucial
a
up
little
at the
bit.
town hall, believe me.
right, so,
Yeah, and Mark, this budget does tend to fluctuate year to year based on what kind of elections we have coming up in that year.
We'll definitely see that in
we're
the
going to see that
next
in the next
budget that we're
budget for
going
sure.
to.
Yes. Yeah. Is there a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion to approve, second. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Elections registrar. Count 1162. Given what appears to be all kinds of state primaries and state elections, the bottom line is not what I would have expected, and I mean that in a positive way. I thought
Yeah.
it would be a lot higher.
I think last year the year she bought the whole pets? Or was that the year before? Was the
No.
equipment?
So that was money that was put back with the override, but
Right.
it was matching the previous year's budget. So
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Debt. 1709. So that particular account was essentially zero on last year's budget. The 3515 was added by way of the override.
correct.
Year-to-date, on March 13th, we haven't spent anything.
Correct.
Now we're budgeting an increase, but there may be some debt exclusions coming through the pipeline. Is that what this is for?
Yes.
If not, what is the 5,000 for?
That's exactly, it's for those like unforeseen acquisitions that we may have to make or ones that we're now planning for, but we need some cash to, for that short-term debt.
Right. So it's going to be difficult. I need and maybe Jeff and Julia and you to help me out here. I'm trying to cobble together 3 committees in this next sentence. The Capital Improvement Planning Committee has submitted a committee report to the Select Board, which ultimately is going to come back to the Finance Committee and the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. We put forward 3 vehicles for a DPW under a debt exclusion. And the catch-22 is, can you get the debt before you identify the truck? But you can't identify the truck unless you have guarantee that you have your debt. So we're kind of doing a catch-22, so there might be some need of some temporary debt to hold that, to make that all happen. And I think Travis didn't speak to his equipment other than repairs and maintenance when he was up there, but the fleet is depleted, so this is kind of help is on its way, and we may need a little help in this particular regard here as well.
Yep.
Is that a fair summation?
Yep.
Doesn't guarantee that it's all going to take place according to Hoyle, but that's what's kind of the thought process that's been put in motion.
Yeah, and it could end up like this year as well, that we haven't touched it either.
Right.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. It passes. 1710, debt principal excluded. It is what it is.
Correct, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
It's a debt obligation.
It's not-
So,
Second.
motion to approve has been second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. 1171. At some point, Robert, we've exchanged emails and capital improvements has put it on the table. I think it might be nice to get an updated
That's good.
debt service schedule because some of these are lopping off.
Yep.
And that could speak to the favor of adding new ones for DPW vehicles.
Okay. Yeah, because.
So I think you can see this is an example right here of a big difference one year to the next, 26 to 27.
Absolutely.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve is a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. With the principal comes the interest.
Do we have to?
Do we have to pay the interest?
Gone
That
down.
was not my question. I was repeating
Yes.
it.
Oh, it's gone
Once
down.
again.
It's gone down.
If we refinance, we're going to pay a higher interest rate.
Yep.
So it is what it is. All in favor?
Well-
Oh, is there a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Noes, none. Abstentions, none. Interest not excluded. Count 1751. Think the same drill.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. It passes. So if you look at the schedule that we sent out, we had fire that we were waiting for. It's not set in stone, but we were waiting for the presentations from DPW and police. This evening, we've heard from DPW. So I'm inclined to wait for those three until we have some sort of presentation on the police budget, and then we can deal with all three of those at the same time. Just a suggestion and recommendation. I'll defer to the committee otherwise.
The only thing, no disagreement. The other thing is we could do fire. Mike was here the chief was here a couple weeks ago. Yeah, or last week. Was. But that can be done next week too.
I also wanted to ask about police because theirs is pretty straightforward. If we could review that, or if you want to hold and.
Yeah, I'd actually like to get into revenue this evening, because I think there might be a change that might need to be made, and that could affect some of the ones that we're holding. So I'm going to ask that we wait for police,
fine.
fire, and DPW.
Okay.
So can we take a look at, I think I sent everybody a revenue sheet that had local revenues. And I don't know, Robert, if you actually sent it to me, and I
Yeah, I'll
sent it
get
to
it.
them. So if you could call that up.
You just came unplugged.
That,
Oh, yeah, I did unplug
Oh, okay.
because unfortunately I have to go through a lot of stuff to get there. So you have the Excel sheet and
Yeah.
the PDF.
It's just,
What would you like to start with, the PDF?
yeah, that's,
That's the Excel sheet.
That's the Excel.
Excel, okay.
I'm gonna try my very best to not lose or confuse anybody, including myself, in points that I want to make. So one of them is if you can scroll down to, if we can visualize these in 4 sections, can you go down to local receipts? Can you see charges for services, trash fees? And you see the number of 447, that's the revenue number. The expense number that we just left a minute ago is 458. So my question is, if the two are supposed to agree, and I don't think the expenses are coming down, I think that 457 has got to be increased by roughly $11,000 or $12,000. And maybe you don't agree with that just now, and you can hold it, but I think you got to come back to us next year, because if it is that they agree,
Yeah,
they're in 2 different places at 2 different numbers.
okay.
So I think it should be increased, which would be a nice pickup with regards to what we're trying to do with our deficit.
Okay.
That would be number 1. Number 2, which is a little bit more confusing, if you go all the way down to the bottom of the page, you're showing a number of $17,230,000. On your workbook, where you summarize this very 8.5 by 11 piece of paper on a little square on page 1,
Yep,
your revenue is $17,272,000. Don't leave this page yet.
okay.
There's a variance of $42,803. Which I think your revenue's got to be reduced by that amount of money. And that number happens to be, if you go to the second section of this particular page, and you see
State
State
assessment.
assessment.
state assessments, 42,803,
Yep,
that number's, not- and I could be incorrect, I'm just saying that there's a variance by that amount, and there's that amount.
Yeah.
It's not by coincidence that it's exactly the same. I fear that the revenue on the front page, which has led to the deficit number that we're showing,
yep.
is,
Could be 42, 2,000,
Right.
42 low,
should be lower. The revenue should be lower,
which would make our deficit higher.
correct.
Yeah,
Which is not a conversation I wanted to have, but it's to the extent that I mean, the budget's imperfect, but the numbers that we do have, if they're in 2 places, they got to be absolutely perfect.
okay,
And I don't think they are right now.
okay. I will definitely look into that and have that corrected.
And is it possible for you to go back to the front page of your
The workbook?
your workbook?
Yep,
And can you scroll down to see the revenue right there? 17,272.
for the total available.
We just left the page where it was 17,230.
So you're saying if we had this as a negative instead of a positive there, then that would give us that number?
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So the other thing is, if you can slide, no, it says right there. see that the date issued? Not trying to be anal here, but we got to make sure that, because that's where we're working from.
Yep.
And that actually is as of 3/4.
3/4.
March 4th, 3/4.
Correct. Yep.
So when you issue the next one, hopefully that will be dated 3/11. Then everybody knows that they're on the right workbook with the right number.
So I do update the title, so when you
Yeah.
get it, you get there.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry it wasn't
No.
updated in the other area as well.
No apologies necessary, just want to make sure that somebody's not doing a lot of analysis and it's not the most current workbook, that's all.
Okay, yeah, I definitely don't want that either.
So with those changes, if you can submit the updated workbook, doesn't have to be tomorrow morning, which, I appreciated getting the one that you did on 3/4 so quickly.
Yep.
But just in time enough for us to review before the next meeting.
Yeah, of course.
So, which brings me to the point, our next meeting, I have two to talk about. Typically, this is March 11th. I have a unchangeable conflict that has conflicted with next Wednesday, March 18th, and I'm wondering, A, would you like to meet without me, or is it possible that we could make the meeting Thursday that week? The 18th is going to be too challenging. I don't think I'd be able to get here before 8 o'clock. So
No issue with Thursday for me, but I can't.
Thursday's fine with me.
can we,
I'm good on Thursday.
Thursday?
I can't. I have too much on Thursday, but that's okay if you guys meet.
Tony?
I'm good on Thursday.
Carl?
I don't think I can get Thursday. I think you still have quorum, but
How about date?
The alternative is to meet next Wednesday at 7:30. Start at 7:30.
Okay with me, but there's people with families, so I don't.
I think especially just because we're in budget time, I'd rather have as many people here as we can. So that works for me.
I'm better with 7:30 on Wednesday. Thursday, I just can't.
Carl, can you do 7:30 next Wednesday?
yeah.
Okay, so we'll just change the time to 7:30.
That gives you enough
Which
time.
I think I'm the only one that.
Want to make it 8 or is 7:30 okay?
Yeah, I'll.
You gonna
match that.
hustle?
Yeah.
Okay.
I may be the only member that remembers, but we used to meet at 7:30.
Really?
So we're just going back to the old. And the other is that you've been notified that on March 23rd, on a Monday, there's a joint meeting with the Select Board to hear the Wachusett Regional and the Bay Path make their presentations. That one's been moved from 7 o'clock to 6:30. And I think I sent you a notice to that effect. So hopefully you're going to attend. I'm going to post a meeting notice
Okay.
so that it's an official joint meeting and we can engage freely in the conversation. So next week, the 18th at 7:30 and Monday, the 23rd at 6:30.
Got it.
And hopefully next week we'll vote on all the ones that have been held.
And we'll talk about the library and.
Yes,
other- okay.
yes. Those actually are going to be pretty quick. I asked for chairman's privilege to hold them, but if the reserve fund takes more than 30 seconds, I'll be shocked. But I just wanted to do a little bit further research on a matter, so.
Okay.
Okay.
There's one item that, did we hold veterans for a reason?
Did we what?
The veteran aid.
So we were going to
15,
check on that because the benefits went down
Right.
a significant amount. So I am prepared to talk about that if you would like to.
Yeah,
talk
do it
about
right now.
veteran aid.
Yeah, I figured we just knocked that one
Yeah.
up.
So,
What's the account number?
1153, I'm sorry, 1543.
yeah, 1543, it went from 17,000 to 1,537. That big reduction was because of benefits. So right now, we were paying out benefits this year to individual. So that will no longer be the case in FY '27, and we don't see any on the horizon. So that is why there is a zero there.
So 1537 is a good number.
Yes.
Good.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
First, second.
I'll take the second.
Discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None.
Abstention.
Good.
I'll abstain.
One abstention. Yes. Sorry. Get that checked.
Thanks for
One
bringing that
abstention.
up, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. And the other thing is across the line in terms of date approved, I think, I could be mistaken, I thought Board of Health was open, but I thought we approved that last week. So,
I got it green. I think it's approved.
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
in the minutes, yeah, Board of Health, yeah.
Yeah, on 3-4.
good.
Good.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? None. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. See you next week at
Yes, good job.
7:30.
Yeah, right on the line. You there.
I move that clock.